Okay, let's just dive right in. What if the single most important scientific discovery in all of human history wasn't just lost, but was stolen and intentionally buried? Today, we are breaking down a really provocative theory pulled from three different sources. They lay out this idea of a unified field of thievery that stretches back for millennia, a massive theft of knowledge, of culture, of power. And right at the center of it all is one molecule, melanin.
So the sources use this quote to frame their entire argument, and you really have to let it sink in. They're not just talking about forgetting things. The key word here is liquidating a people by wiping out their memory. This idea that knowledge can be deliberately murdered is the core crime that we're going to be unpacking.
All right, so where do we even begin with a story this big? Well, the documents are really clear on this. They insist that we have to start by throwing out everything we think we know about melanin, because they claim the definition you learned in school isn't just missing a few details, it's a deliberate misdirection.
And this, right here, is the absolute heart of the theory. It's a radical redefinition. We're moving melanin out of the biology textbook and putting it squarely into the world of quantum physics. So forget about it just being a skin pigment. The sources argue it's the body's master conductor, the organic hardware that literally connects us to the energy and information of the universe itself. Then they lay out these four just mind-blowing properties. Take piezoelectric transduction. That's the ability to turn vibrations, like sound waves, into electricity. Wild, right? But here's the kicker. They say these aren't four separate tricks. They're all part of one single unified process. It's basically a biological superconductor, a system that can absorb and process energy with zero waste. And this image, well, it really brings their whole scientific claim to life, doesn't it? They're presenting the melanin molecule not just as a chemical, but as a piece of organic technology. This, they argue, is the actual physical hardware in your body that makes things like consciousness and even deep healing possible. Okay, so let's shift gears a bit and get into the historical argument, because if this science of melanin is so incredibly powerful, you have to ask the obvious question: why isn't this common knowledge? Well, their answer is chilling. They say it wasn't just forgotten, it was intentionally hunted down, suppressed, and erased from history.
The story as they tell it begins here, in Alkebulan, what the sources call the mother of mankind. And they zoom in specifically on the Nile Valley civilization of Kemet, what we know as ancient Egypt. They make the case that this was the cradle of this advanced melanin science, a knowledge that was literally the foundation of their entire society.
And then they show you this timeline, and a clear pattern starts to emerge. They argue that these invasions of Kemet, one after another, weren't just about grabbing land or gold. The real prize, they claim, was Kemet's intellectual property, its science, its medicine, and most of all, its deep understanding of human biology and consciousness. So, the authors give this process a specific name, and it's a crucial one: epistemicide, the killing of a knowledge system. They lay it out as a three-step playbook. Step 1, steal the knowledge. Step 2, destroy the source so no one knows where you got it. And Step 3, present that stolen knowledge as your own original discovery. This, they claim, was the central engine of the whole historical theft.
Now you may be thinking, okay, that's all ancient history. But according to these documents, not even close. They argue that this whole process of epistemicide never really stopped. It just got smarter. It evolved and adapted to create a modern system of control.
This line from one of the sources just nails their modern argument. The fundamental logic of control and exploitation didn't disappear. It just changed its appearance, moving from physical chains to new kinds of economic and psychological ones. And this slide shows a key tactic in the modern playbook. The sources claimed the real target was never just one person or one protest. It was the very ability to organize. You can see it here. Institutions like churches, community centers, schools were systematically targeted over and over to break up any chance of building independent power.
And here they are, the rebranded chains, the sports plantation, the school-to-prison pipeline. Each one of these is described as a highly sophisticated system of exploitation. The argument is that they serve the exact same purpose as the old chains, to control and extract value from black bodies, while suppressing the very biological power we were just talking about.
Okay, so after laying out this absolutely massive 5,000-year problem, you'd think the story would end on a note of despair, but it doesn't. The entire final section of their work is dedicated to a very specific and what they call an actionable solution.
So what's the way out? I mean, how do you even begin to push back against what these texts describe as total systemic suppression? Well, the answer they give is pretty surprising. It doesn't start at the political level. It starts at the biological level. It starts inside your own body.
Their proposed solution is basically a direct counterattack, and it starts with the community, with these 4 protocols. And look at them. You've got sunlight to charge up the melanin system, pure water to help conduct that charge, and practices to decalcify the pineal gland. The strategy is so clear. You heal the biology first to break the system. It's about taking your power back, literally, from the inside out.
And this isn't just about individuals feeling healthier. It all builds towards a much larger framework. They reference Dr. Amos Wilson, arguing that this idea of biological sovereignty, of having control of your own body and its health, is the absolute bedrock for building any other kind of power. Without it, they claim, any effort to gain economic or political freedom is destined to fail.
And this is how they wrap it all up. It's a final, powerful declaration. They're saying, look, we've laid out the evidence, we've documented the theft, we've outlined the science, and we've shown you the path back. For them, the argument is made. The case is closed.
And that's where the documents leave us. They've set the record, they've presented their truth. But they end by turning the tables and posing this final, provocative question directly to the reader and to you. Now that the information is out there, what happens now? That's the question they just leave hanging in the air.